Hi designers, this is Miss Stapp and I am going over D1 today. You are going to be designing some testing methodology and then conducting the test all today. So let's look at the strand, design detailed and relevant testing methods, which generate data and measure the success of the solution. So today, the objectives are that you understand where your specification list is and that you use it. We recall our specification and our criteria over and over again throughout this whole design process. So you're not creating new criteria. You're going back to the original criteria you made. In B, it's probably somewhere in your portfolio. You're going to capture all of those, maybe cut and paste them onto today's work. And that's what I would do in order to easily be able to extract the criteria from that specification list. Then we're going to choose a testing method. I need you to understand that surveys and interviews, they're not testing methods. They're tools that help us collect data from our testing methods. But your testing methods will be right here: user observation, user trial, expert appraisal, compare with an existing solution, and performance testing. So when you are naming your testing method, it should be one of those. Let's see, last thing, you're going to actually test the solution today, and you have a space on your plan in order to put that, but that is the last thing you will do. Create your plan first, everything in gray on your table, and then that highlighted in blue, you're going to do that last, which is recording the results from your testing. Okay, so we have 5 testing methods here, which are very basic testing methods you see out there in the world, and understand not all of them are going to be appropriate for your solution, your non-working solution, your model, whatever you created. The first is a user observation, and a user observation is interesting, and it gives us a lot of important information about how a tester uses our product without any interference out there in the environment is meant to be used in. So this will only be appropriate if you can give the user a full working solution in its natural environment, and then you're recording and taking notes on how that user interacts with your product, and you are not interfering. This is supposed to be, again, as an organic an environment as possible, and you're looking information about the user having difficulties using your product or navigating your website or understanding how to use your journal and so forth. The next thing would be a user trial. And I really think user trial will be appropriate for most of you, no matter what kind of stage you are in your solution development. This is where you give a user your solution or your model, and then you're able to afterward ask questions and get feedback. So that feedback can be in the form of a survey or an interview. Remember, those are not 2 different testing methods. So it's just 2 different tools to help you acquire your user information. Now you can certainly set this up in a focus group, and because for a user observation, you have to have 3 participants, and for a user trial, you have to have at least 3 participants. All right, I hope you understand that that's important because it eliminates kind of that bias that one person, whatever their experience was, would be the same for each person out there. So try to get at least 3 people to use your product. All right, then we have expert appraisal. And expert appraisal will only work if you know an expert with a background in your health issue or your product. So if you have one of those people, that is great. An expert opinion can give us really valuable information. There probably know other solutions, are familiar with that, and they know definitely, again, they have a background in that health issue that you were working for and can give you some excellent ideas about how to improve your product or validate those things that you have done correctly. This is another good one for most of us out there, is compare with an existing solution. So you'll be able to look at your solution side by side with one that's already been made, and perhaps you're revisiting some of those original existing solutions that gave you ideas. And we have performance testing. Performance testing will only work if your solution is finished and is a working solution. So if you had a product that you made for a certain health issue and you can have somebody use that product, it is fully working, then this might be the testing for you. You can test this product again towards all its criteria. I have some videos here that can help you understand what that product testing would look like. Performance testing would look like. All right, user observation, at least 3 users. I have advantages and disadvantages, and you can watch the video. User trial, you must have at least 3 users. Expert appraisal, I'll just take 1. Compare with an existing solution, you can just have 1. And performance testing. I have some videos if you want to understand those different kinds of testing methods a little bit more. Do understand that we are collecting quantitative and or qualitative data. Quantitative data is numbers. 2 out of 3 people thought that this criteria was achieved. And then qualitative data would be more like descriptions and opinions and so forth. Both are important. And you can definitely have combinations of both in your testing as well. So it is important when you begin testing that you consider the objectives of testing these criteria. So objectives will be things like, are your criteria goals met? You have to find out if your product has met the expectations that you set for them. And you can find out how from users. Another objective is to get customer feedback on how well you did these things, if they have bad or unexpected experiences, or even to validate the experience that you expected. And then performance testing, before you develop a product and it goes into mass production, you have to know whether it can handle all the criteria. All right. First, I'd like you to put your product name. As you recall, mine is the Snappy Salad Podcast. Or in this case, something that is blue. So put your product name at the top and then tell me what your test method is. You can see I have user trial is the test I'm running right now. You would fill out the information here, and as you can see, I've put your criteria. You had to have at least 8 criteria, and you would drop them in. At the bottom, there may be things that are not criteria that at this point in the game you think I really need to test that. Perfect. There is always time to add testing. The more you can think of to test, the better before production. So you can add to this table and kind of think about Access FM if you're wondering, is there anything else I need to test? Kind of go back and see if there's anything else that you should include alongside of these criteria. Now, you have to understand that some of your criteria will not be appropriate for a user trial. So for instance, that product has to be done by April 20th. That may not be appropriate to ask your user, and that can just be built in. In fact, you could paste something, another little table, self-evaluation, and say that this was meant. Another place to put that is if you do an existing product analysis, you could pop almost everything in your existing product analysis because you are analyzing your product against someone else's and you know that you finished by a certain date. You can't tell when their product was finished, but it is an appropriate place to gather and confirm your criteria. All right. So we've got this user trial, and my first criteria in the specification list said must be blue. I don't have to put on the based on the research, but I should understand why I thought that that was important. And we'll get to that. So must be blue. How will I test this product against the criteria and get feedback? So I'm going to do this user trial. Again, it says that at the top. And I say after the trial, I'm going to interview users and ask them, what color was the product predominantly? And if they say blue, then 3 out of 3 people said that the product was predominantly blue. I met that criteria. But I want to think of the reason for creating this criteria as well. Blue influences people emotionally, and that's what my research indicated, and that's why I wanted this product to be blue. So I'm going to follow up with the question, how did this color make you feel? Then I'll get some qualitative data that confirms, did my color have the impact that was intended? Now, will this information be qualitative, quantitative, or both? Like I said, if I'm collecting how many people said it was blue and that their opinions, then I've got that quantitative and qualitative. Was the criteria met? What is the objective of this test? The objectives are, did the criteria meet its goals? Does the feedback indicate that there's an issue or kind of validate what I had thought? Did the performance not meet testing expectations? You kind of want to know headed into this what you expect. So I want to find out if this criteria is met, and does feedback indicate if the color had the impact I expected, which is calming. Why is this relevant? So it's important to understand if the color evoked the intended emotion, or if I need to consider changes, or if a problem arose. I gave you some little ideas here in small type. It says, in other words, you created this criteria because research showed it was important. Why was it important, and what other things might be indicated by the results? How will you capture the test evidence? So this is not where you drop your testing evidence. This is where you decide and you set up a plan for how you're going to test this. So I'm going to do an interview, and because I'm a very slow note taker and a very slow keyboarder, I'm going to record this on my phone, and that's how I'm going to capture all of the feedback and the evidence from this test. There could be many other ways. You could set up a Zoom call and have your focus group on the Zoom and be showing them your model product and getting feedback that way. Now, your testing results column is on the right because it's nice to have the results right here, but you should not do this until your whole testing plan is completed. Do not run your tests until you're ready to go at the end. You've recorded and you've constructed all of your interview questions, and you have your objectives in your mind. Why is this important? And ready to go. And then it's time to run the test. Now I have 2 testing tables set up for you and ready to go. And so you will, again, fill out this plan, which is everything in gray. That is your plan. You have to run 2 testing methods. Your methods are up here at the top. You have 5 to choose from. And then you are going to conduct those tests and gather all of your test results over on the right-hand side so that you are ready for next class. Good luck, and email me if you have any questions.